Let's bring ourselves then back to the wonderful Mark Carney, who, of course, was governor of the Bank of England for many years. He's gone back to Canada, where he's from, and he was giving a speech last week at the Canada 2020 A Time to Build Economic Look-Ahead dinner in Toronto. So that's pretty exciting. Now, just to put this in a little bit of context, if you remember, once he had left the Bank of England, he started talking about climate. He started appearing at all the various COP meetings and saying things like this: we will not get to net zero in a niche. It requires a whole economy transition. So as a sort of leader in financial affairs, he's talking about transitioning the whole economy. Not what to, we're not sure. But he went on to say that companies that don't adapt, including companies in the financial system, will go bankrupt without question. So anyway, at this Canada 2020 event a few days ago, he was talking about net zero. Let's have a listen to what he had to say.
Which brings me to the second rewiring, which is this energy transition, the net zero transition. This is much bigger and moving even faster than most realize. A few years ago, businesses around the world invested 50 cents in clean energy for every dollar they put into fossil fuel energy. Now they invest 2 in clean energy for every dollar in fossil fuel energy. $2 trillion in clean right now. And that ratio is only going to continue to grow because being low carbon is now a fundamental driver of competitiveness, and it's a dynamic that's being reinforced by the AI revolution. And on that last point, I'll just give one fact. The explosion in AI computing power is driving the top 4 US tech companies, and I'll just take the top 4, their power demand, which is all clean power demand, this year is greater than the generating capacity of Sweden, and it's only going to increase. Now, so make no mistake, the global economy is in a new regime, but the laws of economics haven't changed. And as a consequence of that, the world's prone to higher and more volatile inflation, higher interest rates, not just today, but over the medium term, and new drivers of productivity. And there are other laws. Since debts must be repaid and investors rewarded for taking risks, governments that spend too much and invest too little will eventually pay a heavy price.
So it's not just companies and banks that are going to go bankrupt, it's governments as well. They're going to bankrupt governments that don't do the right thing. And the right thing, as far as he is concerned, is to be jumping on the net zero bandwagon and so on. But he wasn't worried about telling lies in his speech. So let's listen to a second short clip here.
Some right-wing populists that see current anxieties as an opportunity to stoke anger because anger is what's necessary for their project. After all, people don't demolish things when they're positive or optimistic. I know this. I know this from my time in the UK, where for years the rallying cry of Brexiters was broken Britain. And their solution to take back control was actually code for tear down your future. So while Brexiters promised that they were going to create Singapore on the Thames, the Truss government actually delivered Argentina on the Channel. Broken Britain. Does that sound familiar? When politicians claim our great democracies are broken, it's not because they want to fix them. It's because they want a license to demolish.
So we'll talk about much more about this in extra, because that was just spectacular. But look, he said with a straight face that the Truss government turned Britain, destroyed Britain. The Truss government wasn't in government for long enough to do anything.
About 3 weeks.
So this was a complete lie, his position there. But anyway, we will talk more about that in